Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for the delay. I mean, we're going to just rush the pre-show because these guys took forever to get into the lobby. But my name is SiNO. This is already bugged. So we have two free hosts. We'll be back. We'll get this underway while the lobby is being built. My name is SiNO. This is Wild Boys Console League, where we have Castaway CC versing against NLG. It's a best of one, so not a lot of Siege left to be played. Hopefully it doesn't bug on the second time around, but one map means one chance to prove yourself. And these players, swing of a vote of CC taking 100%. Enjoy the amazing visuals while we get these guys situated and into the lobby. It worked the second time around. We float on into the lobby. Consulate is where the job will be done. Lots for these teams to prove to get their points, and both of them are on a win as of now within this league. CC talking about their recent head-to-heads, not with this team, but just in general, have just lost a BO5 on Friday. Wasn't the best display of coordination, so hopefully this will be their idea on how to get it back in blood. However, I still don't understand how console orgs work, so it was under, if I'm not mistaken, OOG or something like that, and this is Castaway CC. So I have no idea what's going on, how it'll play out, but Consulate will be the idea, and it wasn't looking too hot for CC on Consulate the last time they were playing on it. They got 7-1'd. That's just not what you want to see, especially it was a very good team that they were playing against, understandably so, but you just really don't want to be losing in general 7-1 on any map whatsoever, regardless of where you are, what tier you're in, what the stakes are. You know, I'm confused. So we sure hope that it'll be something from these players. Of course, this is the opening round, so getting your feet planted quite early is very important for these players to get the job done. And to open this up, it's quite important that you went upstairs on Consulate. This long haul is a very, very beneficial thing for the defenders if they know how to play it correctly. And at first looks, it seems like they do. They'll have a shield for vending. They'll have those prisms locked in, but there's been a new rising tech where yellow's been for the push from the preset drones. It looks like admin is the main idea. Now, against CC, their biggest struggle on a map like Consulate was having to deal with things such as rushes coming in from yellow, and now that they don't have to deal with that, now that they play the game a little bit more simple, I'm kind of excited to see what they'll have in store for us and how they'll be able to handle the pressure as it comes in each and every round. Flash coming in, looking to get the job done, and as time continues to run down for these players, it's pertinent that they keep their bodies up, and especially with the amount of real estate they try to establish here. He already touches ground. It seems like nobody's waiting to get rid of him. There's one C4 remaining for these defenders. This one has already been utilized, and no joy as it hasn't hit a single attacker or their utility. And Abolish playing software here, might be able to secure a kill, but everyone's already gotten out of dodge in this admin area as he's looking essentially for a shadow. 90 seconds left. Both teams are making good for time, but I'm a little more concerned about those Denari prisms, as Donut does lose a good amount of health in the distance, but can seek refuge in the corners of sight. And the attackers still have to get rid of all of these lasers connecting each other. Could try to walk up and shoot them. That's exactly what Trip will do. A player who dropped nearly 20 kills the last time we saw him playing for CC was within SSL, where he was going absolutely nuclear. And what more do you expect from a player like Trip? I like to clown on him sometimes, but you just can't lie. The man is unstoppable with the way he looks. My fellow Canadian, show them how it's done. He'll find the second. Now Sprays looking to make a dream happen, but Sprays will strike into action. Not before Trip gets it right back in blood. A 2v3 on site. Now trying to come back up to full strength. Not much that these guys can do. Sprays gets deleted. Trip is looking for an ace. Opening it up with a bang. Sprays can't even lock out that kill, and it's an ace. Simply unstoppable. As the Frenchmen say, tabarnak, what a way to get it done. CC open it up on the back of Tripway. Sublime out of the Canadian. As NLG now need a response, especially on a Consulate defense. Something needs to change, and it needs to change now if they want to find joy. Utmost importance that they continue to pace themselves and not allow the previous round to dictate the next and the following. As mental is so important in these types of roles, especially in the group stage of anything, it really is important that you take your sweet time. Let's see how it'll play out. They'll head right back on to the same site this time. No Denari, and Escopos bringing in the next pick, one of the most underrated defenders, as she's gifted an AR, a spare shell that resets HP, guaranteed impact and intel on that shell. So, I mean, so much value that this operator does present, but in a meta where Snake is available and so is Deimos, Vigil does seem to be a very clear-cut option. Scopos is a very good near second to be able to kind of bring in to diversify your roam game. But First Blood will get rid of the player who completely terrorized the defenders in the first round. Trip beats his maker nice and early. 45 seconds burnt, and Vipex decides to hit the floor, go underground, and wait for the next opportunity to present. And it looks like it could be to seek out the player that is repelled on this area, but they're not repelled yet. There's one, and it's Crypto, but Abolish is waiting for something in Visa. Crypto's hopped in, so it would just be this one interaction of this player, and oh no, look at that timing. Almost onto Abolish, but the Siege Lords will work in his favor, and he will take the cameras, but not before Sprays takes care of Crypto and gives them an advantage right back to NLG. They approach 90 seconds and are looking much better in terms of form. At this stage of the round, all they have to do is hang on to it, because it's so easy to be able to lose an advantage like this with the blink of an eye. You might have that advantage, you think about it, and it's no longer there if you overthink your executes. Abolish still lurking, looking for the next target to get rid of. 4 calls are being utilized. The pre-fire gets a good amount of health off of Yurbad's back, and double down if you find one more pre-fire onto the player, or at least discourage him for swinging for the remainder of the round and force him into a passive spot. Time continues to run down against these players as they try to find some form of utility to burn. They try to find some form of annoying areas to kind of rid of, but all things go quiet as the Vulcans are being popped to stay relying on the fire to make sure these players don't beeline it into the site. A little bit of a rush execute's going to have to happen, but not if you continue to lose your bodies. You won't even be able to get in. Tapira goes down as well, leaving just Abolish solo. A 1v4, a complete twist of events, and the man who's just come off vacation has 10 seconds to make a miracle happen. 3 very spread out defenders and no case in hand. He's getting closer and closer, but one of those rounds that's just simply impossible due to the amount of utility stacked against you. Oh my god, he almost gets an ace as well, but it's all in failed efforts as NLG grab up 1, and it's right back up to tie. Good openers from either side here, and now it's all about just maintaining that aggression. Hopefully we'll see that from either side, but on a map like Consulate, the main idea should be to continue to go blow for blow, and for the defenders it should be ending it up in a 4-2 split, and for the attackers it should be do everything in your power to make sure it isn't a 4-2 split. So I'm excited to see how that'll actually play out for these players. They'll head down to the basement. No tub trick, but seeing how they've gotten rid of 2 critical opportunities for execute operators on that Snake and the Grim, they'll look to try to deny the wall, but if it gets opened, it does, because they know they don't have to deal with as many hard intel operators, 1 global and 1 critical for the execute itself, but still, it's going to be a challenging role, so Kaid will have to try his best to make sure that this wall doesn't get opened up too easily. Otherwise, it might be a little bit of a problem. Spray's losing a good amount of HP, but it's mayhem upstairs, and Visa, Solus runs out, gets rid of 1 player, but not before instantly getting refragged. Now that's 2 operators for either side, a big, big loss. Not something you want to see so early on. You no longer have soft breaching onto the floor, and you no longer have an operator to seek out all of the intel. And what a shot by Abolish to take care of Donut, now giving the utility to the defenders and the attackers to share the default cameras. He's already hacked the Solus' cam, so it'll be a little obsolete until that expires. Abolish doing all the clear cuts to make sure no one's doing anything off the map that he doesn't need to worry about, but Spray seems to be the biggest issue right now, and maybe even Praise just waiting to get his chunk of the pie with this shotgun. First Toxic Babe used with 90 seconds left, and now NLG is doing a great job of being able to run the clock down on these players. Sprays takes the first call, doesn't decide to eat it, which means he could be called for the remainder of the round however many times Abolish wants, could decide to use the remaining 3 until Sprays either dies or decides to eat the phone. Now C4 looking to hit somebody, but as of now, there's still nothing to worry about. The collateral damage of the breach will allow the hatch to get opened up in the soft wall below it. Now Abolish now looking to deal with the player with a shotgun, but it'll be the person in yellow that'll get the brunt end of that engagement. Vipex takes care of the player upstairs as well in the verticality, and somehow CC have lost the advantage, leaving NLG up 1 man. Sprays needs to either reset his phone or fall back into site. It'll be neither, as Vipex will save the day, continuing to shoot from below. Sometimes bullets don't rain down, they'll actually come up, and in this case, it's really not the best for these players on CC, as that's 2 times where they've had to deal with so many different issues, and they haven't been able to resolve it without the time looking to expire on them. Now Vipex lets his gun rip. Gets the job done, a triple from him, and these players are starting to show us the levels of defense on Consulate as NLG grab the lead up. Doki Solus taking the 3rd and final bans, a little bit targeting the man named Abolish, but it is what it is. Sometimes you need to do what's needed to ensure the easiest time on your defensive campaign to try to grow the lead out round by round, and to get rid of the Solus as well. Make sure that certain parts of utility aren't located so easily throughout the round. So either team trying to make their campaigns easier, but there's still so much left to do and a lot of time to do it in. So see how they approach these next rounds. Their parameters will not reset. It'll be the next round, so they'll be forced to go on to a tertiary site, which will be Piano. And on this site, the most important thing is to kind of ensure that you have so many different areas for these attackers to worry about. Now, the main is usually the verticality, so surprisingly enough, CC doesn't bring a ram. They'll kind of rely on Ace, so assuming they'll try to get the breach opened out from the main lobby, but then when they have to deal with the vert, it'll be a little bit of a question mark thrown all around, so I'm intrigued to see how they'll treat it. Still though, we've learned that doubting these players is never the best of ideas, as they have been consistently units throughout some parts of the map. Thought I switched onto the castle for a second. I was about to say, why is he running a USG? Now, Valkyrie playing on the roam without an opportunity of a vert kill is a little unheard of, especially with, you know, how Valkyrie decides to work. But he could find a C4 kill, and he also could catch a player. They misdroned him. It's a blunder and a half. The Gridlock is given a second opportunity at life, but is already stuck in the animation. And Donut exploits the fact that this team does not have each other's backs as of now. Abolish wants to clean up the pieces. If he can get rid of this player's spiral, they can work together to get the job done. Trip has been unheard of since that ace on the first round, so a lot of groundwork left to be done here. Sprays will fall. Who else but Abolish to be your entry fragger? Doesn't matter if he's on vacation or hasn't touched the game in years. He'll always walk in and get the job done, but Praise has something to say about that as it's the instant refrag. 90 seconds on the board, the one-man advantage in the favor of NLG. The tasks have been reset. The players have peeled off this first point of contact as NLG have done their job and done it beautifully, as CC have less players and aren't even close to unlocking the site yet. There's still another key piece of the defense that they need to break down if they want to get a direct access way. Fully healthy and two people who know how to frag. Is that going to be enough? Right now, Trip says yes, only takes a couple of pieces of damage before taking Donut's face off. Now Freeway lagging a little bit behind as Trip is going to walk in through uncharted territories, and Crypto, who we haven't heard of, seeks his own adventure. Looks for his own solo lurk, and right now that might be the best thing that this player can do because of how distracted these defenders are. It'll work out. Vipex goes down. Remaining two players remain upstairs, looking to get their job done. Almost Praise getting caught off guard. Now Crypto joining the attack upstairs to strengthen the forces to rid of these players sitting in stationary positions. 20 seconds remain. It still all goes quiet while we wait for these players to get the job done here. Praise the one that has everybody waiting for him to make the mistake, but You're Bad makes the mistake of sending his location out. Trip, you're forced to clean it up in the red time. You're Bad is already beelining it out of here. A blunder yet again from CC. NLG takes a 3-1 lead after a beautiful 1v3 clutch to get the job done. CC are getting closer and closer to unlocking the key, but just can't cinch out the last third of the round, and starting to show in terms of scoreline. Three-1 lead. NLG looking to continue to wreak havoc on these players. Still quiet on the Western front from CC since that first round. If you're only winning your first due to aces, then that's individual prowess, and we can't see that. Not throughout this entirety of this singular map, because we've seen that one player just cannot carry the boats. Teamwork will beat that out each and every single time. Be a 4-2 split, something they'll need to change it up when they switch on to the defense themselves. But hopefully they'll clean up their campaign before it comes to that. Similar Denari tech to the first round where CC were able to grab their first and only attack around that we've seen out of them. So maybe this is a good luck charm for them to bring this home. Trip on the F2 and your other entry on the R4C is always a good sign as well, but they just have to be able to find the access ways in the certain areas of the building that they want to find to get the job done here. 40 seconds burned. Hopefully they're able to get the job done, as it would be very important for them to. Otherwise, dealing with a 2-round deficit is just not the best of ideas, especially against a team that actually knows what they're doing, especially against a team that compounds their pressure as the rounds go on. A minute burned, and it's just the pre-work to make sure there's no utility that could potentially be lethal in the opening seconds like a C4, but hopefully they haven't misthrown anybody this time around, because that was the reason they weren't able to find joy when to clear out on the gridlock. And with that, speaking of the gridlock, first pick is in the favor of Crypto. Be able to find a second pick here. Somebody might swing off of the intel. Somebody might be able to swing off the audio, but the flash discourages anybody from walking in. It's a death trap, and Sprays gives up the real estate, and so does Praised. They all fall back into safer positions to apply pressure later in the round. They'll decide that admin is good enough at this point in the round. They've lost the body from it. They don't want to add insult to injury. The main idea should be to maintain these Vulcans as long as possible, but Crypto frags his own player? I'm sorry? How'd that happen, guys? Seems like these guys continue to get unlucky as they now have no more ace charges to do anything at any point of the round. No walls being opened up, and you're bad now is the easiest kill of his life. Now get out of dodge, play your time. Maybe you just try to sneak out a cheeky C4 kill, and Abolish now knows it's 2 gunfights at once. Beautiful crosshair placement to get rid of your bad. 3v2. These players continue to circle around. Half a minute left. Abolish continues to burn out these prisms to ensure no inessential loss of health as Praised continues to fight back for his team. Gets rid of Abolish, but Sprays falls to Crypto in the meantime. Praised isolated in front desk yet again. They seem to know where he is, so it's about playing keep away while that plant goes down. You're isolated. You know the player's limping. Go get the other one while you can. You're in a pseudo 1v1. Now you're in a real one. All you need to do is get rid of the player, which you know where he's playing. You know what the idea is here, but he has the case. You're going to need to make something enticing to flank Crypto. You DK'd your teammate. You need to prove yourself, and you will do so. Gets rid of Praised, and finally put this team on the board for the first time since the first round. CC close down the deficit to 1, and they have the opportunity to go into the half all tied up. Something great could happen here. We could go to OT. If it ends up in a tie, I predict that we might need to go to OT to decide the victor of this game, considering both of these teams are starting to finally wake up. CC were gifted an olive branch that first round, and they took it as Trip found the ace, and since then it's been abolished to strike ahead and claim the first fragger within this lobby, but NLG have been playing the strats that have been working out exceptionally well. Hopefully they're able to hang on to that as they'll head down to the basement of the site they had absolutely no problem with dealing with. This time bringing a Vigil to kind of make things harder for CC. It's something we saw in their previous consulate where they kind of struggled to deal with the roamers, and players like Comb, who isn't in this lobby, but was dealing with this with some of these players on this team. Were having a hard time dealing with some roamers in certain areas. Knowing how that continues to play out, it should be a good idea to apply pressure elsewhere. Abolish. Main man himself going right onto his anchor position, which usually gives him free access way into the building. It was this time around, on their previous attempt at clearing out this floor, that they lost a critical piece, and that was their soft breacher. Hopefully this time the Ram can be maintained, and they'll have all the joy in the world if, and only if, they can get the job done here. Vigil, letting his presence be known, ridding of the drones, and the question is, do they know the Ella has joined this fight as well? An answer only that will be met with time. These players continue to go head to head. Abolish is a good general idea of where this player is, but as Donut decides to just get out of there, it'll be avoided. Now Trip advancing, but in the meantime, Capitao goes down to 1 HP. Trip down as well, finished off by Donut. It is not looking great for CC, but Abolish finally gives them the lifeline, as two critical operators to your plant do go down. You guys need to clean up your act here. Trey's trying to walk up, but unaware that there is a player waiting on the rappel, but Abolish cleans up the roamers all by his lonesome. The rest of his team awaits him in yellow. There's one more he didn't think of, and it's that smoke, but he still exercising caution, knowing how low he is, and here he's still on the rappel, and it's a perfect coordination between the three of these players as they've single-handedly brought this back for their team. Despite losing two critical operators, they didn't let it affect them. From there, they're able to get the job done. T4 with no connection. Now Vipex needs to rely on soul positioning and the prioritization of the weapon to get it done, and can't even get past Crypto as he'll gun him down in broad daylight, and CC go all tied up as they head on into their defensive campaign. All tied up now, and the NLG players have now been kind of shocked back into reality that this might not be as easy as they had anticipated. Hopefully they'll have something to clean this up, otherwise it might be a little bit harder to deal with. Lots of things to do, lots of things to deal with. Let's see how that'll play out. Head right back upstairs, but this time CC won't be on the attack, but the lineups relatively look the same except for the Roora. I love that from NLG, considering she is arguably the most underrated pick to get the job done, especially on sites like admin where you have so many spots with dead real estate like the long haul here, which if you don't treat it right is an absolute death trap. Hopefully these players can continue to integrate newer operators into their roster. Well, I mean, Roora's not as new anymore, but still newer. And to use her with Flores and Snake, you ensure that admin isn't abused in terms of utility from below, where the gunfight's directed head-on. Ensure slip-ups are mitigated completely, and you're doing damage control actively to kind of prevent any mistakes that'll maybe lead to you losing a critical operator earlier in the round. The fact already touches ground in admin, but is rejected by the fact that you didn't break the barricade properly. Salaton Radar comes out, but the jammer protects the players from getting pinged out. C4 goes live. A 2 sent out, only 1 connects. It's abolished to get rid of Apex. No blockers and no barricades from Aura will be seen for the remainder of the round here. Ace grabbing a long sight into deep longest corridor. Minute burned off the clock, and guess who it is? It's Crypto time as he's below. Seems to be the kryptonite so far of this team on the Lorks, as he's been finding so many picks, but Sprays finally strikes back. We'll get rid of that man advantage as Prey strikes as well, and CC have worked so hard to undo all of that progress in under 20 seconds. Sometimes you need to know when to peel off of admin. That just was it. Good efforts by NLG to tighten the ship's sails and stop it in its wind. 90 seconds remain and things will calm down, but not for Trip as he'll let that ACS roar. We'll get rid of the pressure coming in from Spiral now, leaving the 2 players in admin to get the job done here. Continuous overclocking of the Soliton radar continues to be a problem with all of these mute jammers in the vicinity, but finally Praise rids of them and allows Sprays to get easy pings. No Goyo to deal with. CC have neglected that pick, but they do have the Azami to restructure the map actively, and that's why they've had such a hard time dealing with it. The ACS, though, bullet for bullet fires much slower than a fully automatic AR-33, but it doesn't matter when it comes to the Scorpion. Crypto gets the job done, seals it, and gives the lead right back to CC for the first time since that first round. And NLG are starting to go in a little bit of a cold deficit as they can't find joy in each and every round they go into. It just ends up with them getting battered at the end of the side. Yes, progression means a lot. Yes, momentum means a lot, but I mean, if it doesn't convert into real numbers, what good is it really doing you? That's an answer they're going to need to continue to craft throughout this game and show us, as they don't get proactive about how to mitigate the damages that have been done. They're going to deal with some pressure that may be a little bit harder to come back from. Basement seems to be the call for CC. Scope both being brought and the Vigil. Bandit on the soft wall denial as these players look to kind of make NLG's roam clearing life a bit of a living hell, and it might work out for them, but it might not. Look at the amount of intel that NLG is anticipating will be needed. Jackal bypasses all of Vigil's scanner abilities as footsteps aren't electric. And Dokkaebi as well can call the Vigil alongside with the Scopo, so could be a bigger problem as the 6th pick does get rid of the Snake and brings the Dokkaebi as well. These attackers may have a little bit of a fun surprise learning that all of these operators may be worth it, just to show us if they can get in the building and utilize them first. First pick goes on to Trip. They know that real estate means so much. Could decide to just eat the phone, and it looks like that'll be the main idea. Knows where the Snake is, gets rid of him. That's a pick any defender will take. Yes, it's a little bit earlier for a roamer to fall, but I mean, getting rid of a Snake is almost so worth it. But not if you lose a player that has a regenerative ability. Those Kibas, oh, they are so important, especially in the later stages of the round as Azami gets more powerful as the round goes on, and we'll never know what you could have done in this one as Crypto goes down quite early. 2 picks for NLG within the first minute. Abolish going down very low HP. Could decide to switch, but the question is, where is his other shell? Has it already been broken? Looks to be in contact, but it could be all the way across the map. Donut continues to apply that pressure. 90 seconds remain, and Freeway could even out the man count here, or could end up doubling it for the other team. Pre-Fire seems to know where the general location of that player is, but not enough to be able to confirm anything. Time continues to tick down here, and pressure continues to amount, and it looks like it's a full-on attack. It's a blitz from CC. They've just rushed upstairs. They've decided to get the job done, and they'll strike back to get around. But, I mean, if you get everyone upstairs, you kind of forget what the main thing is about, what your role is about, and it's defending the site as the plants will go down, and both players are off of site. They've now turned into the attackers, trying to find an access way as it's just Kiz left upstairs to try to get the job done here. Dropping into the crosshairs of Fipex, and they'll tie it up right again. It's just back and forth from these teams, and a little bit questionable of what CC was doing in that round. Not what you want to see, especially on a round that means so much. But they're given a lot more to work on. We're still in the earlier stages of the games, and they have to do is prove themselves one more time, and they'll find joy. Nice and quiet while either side kind of figures out what the main idea will be, because as of now, no one really knows. Head right back down to the basement to figure out what they can do better. Time is of the essence, guys, and maybe they understand this. They don't, though. It'll be a rude awakening when they realize it'll be match points against them and there's nothing they can do because we decided to kind of troll for a bit. Trip looking to be an absolute issue for these players. Just time continues to run down against them. The sprays already touches the ground, could be a big win for Trip. Decides to reset the phone this time and not lose the damage. That might not be essential. The player bottom server already hears where sprays is, so he's forced to back off for a bit, and Trip now has to take 2 gunfights. Somehow Boss G hits the shoulder of Donut. No damage counted. That'll be Trip taken down, and his cameras will fall alongside with him, giving full intel to these players and even eyes into the site, especially with the Scopo shell. Looks like he's already switched back. Abolish is looking to get hungry to even out the man count. A minute burned off the clock here, and NLG are looking amazing for a time as Crypto takes heavy damage as well. The vert hold is starting to crumble slowly but surely. Kiz is, yes, watching a certain area of the map, but there's almost 4 doors and so much verticality that allows this area of the building, and Donut anticipates that there is a player on yellow, rids of him as well, and continues to add insult to injury as now Crypto is in an unwinnable spot, will deal some damage, but not enough to put this player in a critical situation. Freeway kind of reels it back in for his team, but there's still a 2-man deficit they need to worry about. 90 seconds remain, and NLG continue to circle like sharks. They're hungry to get more. They're there. They're always waiting for the next opportunity to strike harder as Donut slumps Freeway. Abolish finally strikes back. So much left to do, and a lot of time for these attackers to do it in. Abolish needs to isolate 3 isolated incidents of a 1v1 to get this job done. Different areas of verticality, which isolate him. They create choke points. Decides to just run in and take the first interaction, but just hits metal bars. Will run at the planter, but Praise has already anticipated this. Doesn't even need the main. Uses the sidearm to gun the player down from the hatch, and NLG reclaim the lead. These teams are going back and forth, but it's NLG 1 round shy of the match point. One of those rounds where you really do credit both sides for trying their best to get the job done, but it's only one that can walk out with the round win, and it'll be NLG in this case. Hopefully we continue to see these guys show us what they have in store. CC have yet to win a defensive round convincingly, as they opened up their campaign in a way that made us think they could just strike back and win it in 4 clean rounds, but since then they've kind of struggled since evening it out and taking the lead for 1 round, as it's kind of evident that they're struggling with the clears, as they have 2 players that are individually looking for brilliance and to force mistakes out of NLG, but the rest of the team slowly but surely trying to climb up and meet their team. Right now it's just not cutting. seems like Denari has been a very common pick, especially on this site when it comes to trying to make long haul an annoying choke point to push through, but C4 is raining down to the wall. Also seems like a very popular thing that's been happening. Spray's looking to inflict some damage. Hasn't been too popular in terms of kills, but always has been a problem in the intel. But Urbat has found himself in the site. A bigger issue than these players might have accounted for. It might be good, yes, to hold down all of admin with your might, but getting into the site and leaving such a large space open could be causes for trouble. Now, for the IQ, the story's over, but it's already created a lasting impact, a legacy to allow the teammates to find a choke point to walk in through. C4s remain, so it's kind of important that you don't walk into them. Crypto on the double roam gets 1 kill on the rappel and 2 on the next player. Freeway strikes with a C4, leaving just Donut in bathroom. An F2 in a dream, so much time to work with, but needs to be able to isolate 3 separate incidents of a gunfight without allowing these players to kind of gang up on him. Closest player to do that onto would be Crypto, as Abolish is not moving, doesn't have heddles to operate on. So he will just slowly creep, looking to get rid of the first player, but a little bit of a misjudgment of where the player is. Will rid of Crypto. Now needs to get rid of Abolish, but he's getting closer and closer with an SMG-12. Both players are swinging, beautifully executed at the same time. CC tie it right back up, and regardless of who wins this round, we're going to match point. Either side don't want to give their opponents an easy win. They'll make them fight for it, and it's evident in the ways they're playing. So much Siege left to be played, and they're showing us both teams are here to stay, and I'm loving it. Basement, the site that'll decide who gets closer to the end of this map. Trip and Abolish currently on heaters, and Crypto has caught up with the rat plays of the flanks, of the lurk of that nobody expects. And is also tied up with Trip. Abolish currently sits at a 2 KD within the server, the highest by a mile. Looks to continue to keep soaring high. Could find joy if they continue to keep their foot on the gas. It's all about what these players can do individually to get the job done. Otherwise, they might find a little bit of a problem when it comes to getting in the building. Somebody tell Crypto to go for these spawn peeks off of Azami, or he's going to watch this back and hear this. Hey, Crypto, Azami's not for fragging. Get off of Azami if you want to swing. Not a single player sits in sight, and again, the thing with this type of site setup is, yeah, it works in terms of getting kills off of site, but it'll happen similar to what it did previously, where players just blitz the site and call it a day, because guess what? They're given so much real estate to get rid of the only player sitting in there. It's the easiest plan to your life, sit in a corner and Bob's your uncle. But let's see if the attackers know this, because right now they're fixated on clearing Trip. One on the rappel, the other on the bathroom window, and the third on yellow, looking to inflict damage. A little curious to see who is dealt with first, and it's Donut in sight. Finds the second. This game's completely over as no one sits in sight any longer. As Sprays gets rid of Freeway, but you've miscounted as Abolished up here as well. NLG hasn't clicked yet. Do you know that the site's completely open? Looks like the full clear is still the main idea here. Somebody looks like they've had a call to fully run, but still nothing. No one is understanding that the site's completely open. If you know there's 2 off, why not completely abandon this idea? And Abolish will switch just in case an attacker finally realizes what's going on here. Crypto to get a kill as well to tie it up, and CC have done the impossible. They've inflicted as much pain as possible and gotten out of dodge to make sure there's no player to clean it up. A random wallbang! Oh, Trip! You beautiful, beautiful player. He'll break double digits and tie right back up to his teammate. Combined 20 kills, and they're inflicting pain on the roam. As now NLG have nothing to get the job done. And Azure tries to break the barricade. Guns down Crypto as well. It's a little side benefit. They have a little below a minute to make magic happen with no walls opened up and no vert established yet. "25 seconds on the board as both teams look to kind of get something done here. They look to force the mistake, but it still is just so calm from either side. They know how important it is to get this round. They'll touch ground. It'll be a pseudo 1v2 as this plant needs to go down, but it'll be a 1v1 as Praise wins the gunfight and instantly goes to planting. The first player is rid of. The Ram wins it, Praised! Who needs a 1v2 when he can do it all by himself? Rids of the first player, gets off the plant with a fraction of a second left. Guns down, Abolished to give NLG the match point. Valiant effort, CC, but it's not enough in the tank. NLG, they've struck, and they've struck hard. They'll approach the match point. Another basement round, hopefully not with 83 roamers, but I mean, it actually worked. I haven't seen that work, and I've seen it work sometimes, sometimes not, and this is one of the times where it does. Sometimes you gotta get creative, and for CC it is. I mean, you can't hate, or players hate until it doesn't work, and I like how it's kind of working out right now. This donut gets really aggressive. I don't know why there would be a Grismont there, but he's looking to inflict pain as he's in the building. The silent killer, and especially on Snake, it could be a bigger issue to deal with. He's good for timing, could find a kill as well. Lurking, could get rid of the player that has absolutely no idea he's here. Abolish. Completely unaware that it was a player who slipped right past him. But Eurobad gets rid of Trip to kind of add insult to injury. There's really nothing these players can do. They're on a completely different level. The Scopos robot is lost, and NLG now have set themselves up for a beautiful finishing round. Abolish falling back into sight, and lots left to do. Time continues to kind of tick down, and getting rid of Crypto is the next big idea. They have Vert established, 2 players in the piano area. Crypto gets rid of the first, looking for the second. Guns one down. Freeway's there to finish the job off, but Crypto in the end does go down, so it leaves it at a 3v3 unless somebody can get the job done. Now Praised gets the finish onto Crypto and evens out the man count. 75 seconds remain, and You're bad finally touches ground, and they have full access. Verticality given to all of these players to now work slowly. They have a lot of time to get it done in. A minute remains, and these players continue to force so many different problems. Nothing on the wall, so it'll be quite easy after they shoot this Cade off. And now it'll be time to get the job done here. So important that these CC players strike first to get a kill, whether it's on the player on the breach or somebody on the verticality. There's a C4 in Kiz's pocket. Half a minute remains. And the frag will bounce onto the pillar. I completely forgot Jack will have the frags, but they'll push this player into a very backed out spot. But the C4, if you see a smoke, you can shoot through it. Skopos could find a double here. Abolish in a very awkward gunfight, but will win. It's a flurry of kills, and CC emerge victorious. Couple of seconds of worry, but fear no more. Your fraggers are still alive and heavy. A CC strike back, and I told you guys when we saw that 3-0, we were going to OT. I know these teams, I know these players. Both heat up with hunger as the game goes on. It's evident in their play styles. 6-all. And they only have 3 more rounds max to prove themselves in. We head upstairs to see CC's potential last round on the defensive side of Consulate. What a game this has been. See how these players continue to kind of show how they're playing out. A little interesting as to see what the idea is here to clean up the players that reside in admin and the rooms that surround it. "45 seconds burned off, and all quiet on the western front as either side kind of circle map, but nothing confirmed. C4 rips out, no connection as it lands on the door for it. You guys know they're in the building? Still on the rappel. That's almost every C4 depleted for this team. Not really fun to deal with when you see that Blackbeard come into effect. Now, the play that tries to get rid of the players upstairs is going to be the one that tries to lurk, but gets caught outside. Praise gets first pick onto Crypto, but Yuri instantly gets the refrag, and Trip strikes back as well. These players are having a hard time dealing with the lurks, and the roamers have been the biggest issue for them so far. Getting closer to 90 seconds, and CC have given themselves the lead. The main idea now should just be maintaining it. Freeway putting in pain to make sure no one can find easy access into the building. Abolish swings on the first. The second has broken 20 kills as praised. Needs a miracle to make something happen. HP slowly being shaved off, but Abolish makes it 21. Are you serious? Vacation does nothing to this man but supercharge him. CC getting closer and closer to victory as they're one off of the match point and the win. And NLG can only be shocked that this one player is completely tormenting their win. All of the efforts would have been for nothing as they're getting close to taking the entire thing for themselves. closer and closer to the end of this game as now CC are getting closer and closer to ending it out. Kiz has not been having a good game. You got a feel for it. I mean, sometimes a bad game is justified, but it becomes a lot more amplified for players when they watch this back when they see a 20 bomb next to another player's name. I mean, just for the sake of it, just for the plot. Give NLG this round, let Crypto, or let Abolish get 4 kills this round and 4 in the next, and you'll break 30. Or get close to it at least, unless he aces one of these rounds. 30 is out of the question, but I mean, you never know. 1 ace and he's 4 kills away from it. Abolish treating this game like a cakewalk, and these NLG players are in panic mode. Use a... Is there some new tech I'm unaware of? Did he just use a thermite on a... You're kidding. Okay, I guess we found another a new way to kind of burn as many exos as possible with absolutely no good inherent reason. Looking to land one shotgun that could be a problem, but 1 minute burned off the clock and no joy. Abolish losing a good majority of the health from this interaction. One impact could seal the deal. Donut wanting to rub it in. Top fragger doesn't mean anything to him as looks to take care of the player, but eventually will just cycle out and get out of dodge. Just you've already taken a good chunk of HP up and the time as well, giving NLG so much time to do whatever they want in the site. Breach not even opened up as well. They can sit back, relax. Now Donut gets rid of Crypto as well, and this is a round where you need to be concerned for the well-being of these players. Now, Abolish gets rid of it. Knows where this one player is. Sees the shoulder of a player seeking refuge back into the site, knowing this is such a big problem. There's a lot left to do, and you guys don't really have a lot of time to do it in. Now a minute left on the clock here. Players will finally touch through piano, but still 20-second meta is very much alive when there's so much utility to deal with. As one player saw it out, but Donut is just resilient. Abolish gets rid of the first, but has absolutely no health to work with, so it's so easy to deal with, especially when you have something like a super shorty in your pocket. Half a minute left, and Vipex has so much left to do and not really a lot of time to do it in. He wants a pick for himself and will get one. Finishes it off with the revolver, leaving Kiz debate for some kills, but can't even do that. He'll get gunned down in broad daylight as well. We need all 15 to decide the victor. Completely baffled. I knew I said we were going to see OT, but I didn't think it would go the full mile. These players really have something to say. Just continuing to be a problem for either side, seeing how much pressure they are applying to each other. If Abolish isn't dropping an ace, or if it isn't Trip and Crypto lurking, can they find a round? But NLG are given the short stick as they go on to the attacking side of a 7-7. Could mean the end of this game. Last round that we will see between these two teams, unless they meet again in the playoffs. Wouldn't be a surprise unless they have another matchup in a league I don't know about. But they're playing oh so well. Looking to claim oh so many kills. Good amount of pressure being put on to these players. The star himself looking to find one for himself. Maybe two, maybe three. Wallish is going to be lurking all the way upstairs, and it'll be Trip and Crypto to occupy the first floor. Crypto has no idea there's a player just waiting for him. He's around the corner. Crypto, he's behind you, bud. But it could be the end of this game already, as one lurk from Donut decides that upstairs is no longer in good standing. Almost refrag from Kiz, but we'll just soften up the players. Spray is just applying so much pressure, just not even having to step foot into the building, just using the death marks. Abolish touches ground back to site, knowing that the amount of pressure alongside with the call as well and getting tracked is just not really the best. And Sprays will gun down the shell. NLG have opened up all of the second and the third floor all for themselves. Having a one-man advantage and softening up one player, it is essential that they continue to run this clock down. 90 seconds remain. Like they're going to be going for a backside take, which is something that we have not seen before. They have a thermite, so could decide to just be doing this to apply different forms of pressure. Deathmark goes on to Abolish. They're targeting a player they know can frag. Has been prolific so far for his team. If he can get rid of Sprays here, get rid of the Deathmarks as well. Deciding to go for it, gets rid of Sprays. Or Sprays gets rid of Abolish. He's putting in a shift. Another goes down, leaving just Kiz in a 1v4 situation. Would be a problematic end to this. Below a minute left, and you would need a miracle to get this done. They don't even know he's down. They're just still working things out. They're just looking to get this done as fast as they can, and Sprays actually hears this. Catches one player off guard, whiffs on the first, just continues to spray as it's in his name. But just can't get the player that he downed earlier. A 1v3. Surely this is impossible, right? As there's so many different things that you have to clear, and so many healthy attackers grabbing their own chunk of real estate. They're just going to continue to hurt you in a specific part of the map, and Vipex closes it out. A valiant effort from CC, and especially Abolish. Sometimes individual prowess isn't enough to get the job done, and NLG will grab up all the points for themselves. Not what we expected to see here on console. I knew we were going to OT, but I didn't think we'd see such a barn burner. NLG really showing who's boss, but CC, I mean, what a couple of rounds. I mean, we saw their pacing fall apart when it was 4-2 against them, but they managed to come back and go up 5-4. And from there, it was just back and forth, and these teams really showed us why they are among the top talent within the console scene. But for the broadcast, my name has been SiNO. We bring to you the Wild Boys Console League. Make sure to follow and subscribe if you have enjoyed. For those of you who missed the first half, I will post the VOD shortly to YouTube. Do !mark socials to go figure that out for yourself. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you guys in the next one, and shouldn't be too long before we're back on console. Peace.